Okay, so today we are looking at the recently released PCLinuxOS 2011.6. Now I say recently released because PCLinuxOS is a rolling release, which basically means that you are up to date with the latest packages. From whenever you install, you are going to be up to date. That is, of course, with the exception of PCLinux 2010 when they upgraded their distribution to KDE 4. Therefore, they needed to throw KDE 3 out the door and they broke backwards compatibility. But apart from that, it is a rolling release. And here we are about 2 years since then, and it is going very strongly indeed. So basically the idea of PCLinuxOS is to provide a very user-friendly system that will click with people coming over from Windows, and therefore they try to make it very simple. So in that regard, they have had a few digressions from this in the past. I have had a few issues with PCLinuxOS in the past, but those things seem to have been well and truly fixed, and that is incredibly good news. First of all, let's talk about the look and feel, and there really isn't much to this look and feel because it is KDE, and KDE being KDE, it always looks very modern and it looks very dandy indeed. We also are running at the absolute latest stable KDE, which is 4.6.4, so that is very good news indeed. And as far as wallpapers go, you only get a couple, but of course you can always grab your new wallpapers, just like in any other KDE distribution. And secondly, I want to talk about the applications. Now, the applications, you do come with quite a bit on a 700 meg download, and quite honestly, I was surprised. The main reason for so many applications is because there is a complete lack of Office applications. You can, they do have their own custom tool here to download LibreOffice, but it does not come installed on the main CD. So, under more applications here, configuration, we've got all of the fantastic tools that PCLinuxOS is famous for. We've got configure your computer, which handles all your root level configuration, such as your hardware, your network services, and local disk security, boot, etc. Now this tool is incredibly helpful, and I've found it extremely helpful even while I've been setting up this system. It can handle everything from users to your proxy servers to your video cards, keyboard, printers, you name it. Everything is under here, so I think that's extremely helpful for the Windows user. And quite honestly, although this tool is old, of course it dates back to the Mandrake years, honestly it still works, and it's still very, very, very powerful, and it's almost, in my opinion, slightly more polished and user-friendly than something like Yast in the OpenSUSE world. So, secondly, it would be nice to see a filtered search field up here somewhere, just to help users get to exactly what they want when they want it. It'd be a nice addition for the keyboard junkies. Then we have configure your desktop. Now notice the difference. One of these one of those simple nature tweaks that they have done is they have distinguished configure your computer and configure your desktop. So that makes an easy distinguisher between these root level and the user levels settings. So you can see here we've got all of the standard KDE stuff, and obviously of course we've got the search filter here, so I don't think it should be that hard to include it in hopefully a future release of the PCLinuxOS Control Center. So that is fantastic, that is all very functional. And let's move on. So secondly, you also get the proprietary drivers out of the box on PCLinuxOS, which that can be considered a good thing or a bad thing depending on your view of free software, etc. But for the average user who really doesn't give a rip, the proprietary drivers out of the box are going to guarantee the best user experience possible. All your desktop effects are ready to roll as soon as you get going, so that is fantastic, and they've put the Catalyst Control Center in there for your convenience. Of course, this will be the NVIDIA one if you have an NVIDIA card. We've got a fantastic firewall setup tool there as well. We've got the Localization Manager, which is their own custom tool to download extra locales, obviously, languages and system text, etc., and also the help manuals in those various languages. We also have their own custom network control center, which is different from the standard KDE one, but of course it is the DrakeConf tools that we all know and love, so it is very functional and it works, especially for those from a Windows background. We also, under finances, we have KMyMoney, which is a very useful personal finance manager, and also we have the redo MBR tools in the PCLinuxOS Live USB creator, which has apparently undergone some quite serious work on the back end. So that is good news indeed, and those are two very functional tools. So under archiving, we just have the standard KDE tools, as we do with documentation editors and file tools, except for BleachBit, of course, and Midnight Commander, which is like a disk space viewer where you can see all the different applications and the folders that they are taking up and how much size they are, which is all fun stuff. Okay, moving right along, under graphics we have Digicam. Digicam has undergone some fantastic improvements, and honestly they just keep chugging along at their usual rate, which is just fantastic. And this time around I've actually had a great deal of success with getting Digicam to work the way I want it to, which is fantastic news for me, as I've been struggling with this program ever since about version 1.5. So it's fantastic that it works now. It's very functional. I'm sure it worked before. I was just personally having issues with it. We've also got GIMP and all the other standard KDE stuff, and Xane for scanning, which is a bit of a strange inclusion, but I'll forgive them in view of the best user experience for the new user. Under Internet, we've got all the standard KDE stuff, as well as Thunderbird for your emailing, Pigeon for your instant messaging, along with Chakok, of course, Firefox for your web browsing, and XChat IRC to handle your Internet relay channel thingamies. Under Office, as I said, nothing there. Software Center, you've got Synaptic Package Manager, which is an awesome little package manager, as we all know. Now, as you can see here, the only thing lacking as far as this being different from Ubuntu is, of course, they don't have the in-bar search thing up the top here. So basically, that's the only thing that makes it look different. Otherwise, you can just mark all your upgrades and you're going to stay up to date with all the latest software. You can see here that as soon as I click that, it picks up all of the software updates that need to be marked. I click OK and apply, and I'm up to date with the latest packages, which is fantastic. And honestly, they really look after their users. On their homepage, you can see Chromium browser gets an update, Opera browser gets an update, a number of Xorg updates, and we've even got post-installation tips, which are very cool indeed. So if you get your hands on this distribution, definitely check out their post-install tips, as they are quite handy. They even tell you how to enable ATI, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read all of it because you guys can read. They put out their own magazine, and they do a great job of providing users with interesting and informative information month after month. And you can see here, these are the contents of their magazine for June. So that is very good news indeed. They do a great job, and I've been really actually curious about PCLinuxOS for some time now. And honestly, it's the latest ISO has given me a wonderful excuse to try it out. So under sound, we have the Clementine music player and KMix and all the other KDE stuff. Video, we have Imagination, which is the DVD slideshow maker, TV Time for your television viewing, and VLC media player. Notice they didn't install any KDE media players out of the box, and I think they really made a wise choice here. They've kept the ISO size down to 700 megs, but they keep the media player being the absolute best there is, which, come on, who can beat VLC? So that is essentially the applications. Now, let's talk about hardware compatibility. Honestly, this was a very, very, very smooth trip. I did not have any issues whatsoever with hardware compatibility. My sound, my graphics card, my wireless, and my Ethernet were all going as soon as I booted this distribution, which is amazing improvement for PCLinuxOS. Quite honestly, I have had issues in the past with hardware compatibility. There have been some very serious issues with the ATI graphics driver, and I've had all sorts of problems with sound in the past. But honestly, this time around, it was a pleasant surprise that it was fixed and it was all ready to roll as soon as I booted. All your multimedia codecs are there, of course, because VLC is there. Honestly, there is not much really lacking in this distribution. KDE 4.6.4 is running super silky smooth, and all their desktop effects are very, very smooth and very, very fluid. They've really toned down the performance of this thing, and it's become an amazingly responsive little beast. So honestly, major props for PCLinuxOS for providing such a well put together and polished release. Everything from the boot screen to the splash screens on all the applications Everything looks very professional. It's got that brushed metal look, which seems so attractive nowadays. And honestly, it's a big step up from the previous oceanic blue with the big cartoon bull on the front. So major props for them for improving their overall image and look and feel in this distribution, along with taking care of their community with their awesome community website and their magazines, etc. Honestly, they've really done a fantastic job of keeping their distribution alive and kicking in these times of Linux uncertainty, and this is a really point two distro. If you are a Windows guy and you want to give KDE a go, this is definitely the route to go. You've got some fantastic tools that make it very easy to install the applications you want, by which I mean LibreOffice and any of the languages you might need, and also the best of the breed applications are already ready, set up, ready to roll. Hardware compatibility is there, at least in my experience, and you stay up to date with the absolute latest packages that the Linux world has to offer. This distribution is available in 32-bit, and it also is available in 64-bit coming soon, I believe, from when I did this video. But that is also big news for the PCLinuxOS community, as they do have a 64-bit release. Now, for those of you who just want the standard version, they do of course provide the PAE kernel to address all those 4 GB of RAM. But they have been working so hard in their work shows. It's a polished distribution, rolling release, hardware compatibility, ready to go out of the box. This is PCLinuxOS, ladies and gentlemen, and I give it a definite 5 out of 5. Well done, Techstar and the team.